What's up, world? Second out, Calvin. I'm back, live from the crib with it. But before I get off into this good shit, let me be the first to say none of my videos are here to promote any negativity. All my visuals are for educational purposes only. And also, let me honestly say that nothing good came out of anything we may have allegedly done up in Rochester, New York back in the days. Also, let me take the time to thank all my day one subscribers. I really do appreciate y'all. And to my new subscribers, I double salute y'all. Now let's get to the table and start sacking up this good shit. Now, like always, when things are going good, there's always some fuck shit in the game. Now, when my dog bumped into a flower man in the Mobb, that very next day, flower man, he made his connecting flight. He got up in the air and got in the wind. And of course, it was back to business for the mob. Now, before we got to Rochester, a few years prior to that, we knew bricks of coke was going for $24,000. That was like a win-win for us. Now, during the transformation of coming from the soft to the hard, we still had a handful of locals that was coming to grab half of birds and whole birds of powder from us. Now, by us knowing what we had, because we had that blicker, no doubt, we knew we just couldn't give it away like that because it was too clean. You know, the shit was just too clean. And also we knew the whole town was flooded with garbage. Them Dominicans was bringing a whole lot of headache from New York City. So it was only right that me and my dog dance on the sack. You know, this ain't got nothing to do with all the hard we was whipping out throughout the town. If y'all ain't privy to what I'm talking about, y'all go back and look at the Miami Boys and Flower Man Part 1 and 2. So y'all can go back over the numbers that I gave y'all on those other videos. But in the powder lane, we just, we couldn't give it away like that. So me and my dog, we was putting 4 ounces of no taste, no smell on every bird. Shake and bake it, put it back together, take the 4 ounces out, put them to the side, and was dumping that shit for $24,000 a piece. Now those 4 ounces that we put to the side, you got to multiply them times 1,300. Because that's how much we was moving ounces for on Conkey Avenue. Now take that 50-something hundred that we was making off those 4 ounces, add that to the 24 that we was giving the birds away for, that's like 29,000 and some change. So in the powder lane, we still it was good. You know. Okay. Now, let's do the books. Now, from the watch outs to the bond man, they was getting like 600 every week, if my memory serves me right. The LTs, the lieutenants, they was getting like $1,250 every week. The wetters, they was getting like a band a week. And then we had the road runners who was getting up in the air. They'll jump on Amtrak or the Greyhound Trailways, or they was beating I-95 up or through the mail. However, they was getting $1,200 a brick. And it was just never a brick. We had a whole lot of them shits going, a whole lot of them shits coming. Now, also, you gotta include, the highest tricking bill the nigga had, because the nigga really was running through a whole lot of animals in the town. That shit was in the contract. All the eaters we were sliding with, all that shit came with rents, mortgages, car notes, cell phone bills, eating money. A nigga really had like a high ass tricking bill. Now, aside from that, I was giving the mob an 8-ball every night. This ain't had shit to do with their weekly pay. I was giving the mob an 8-ball every night. If they wanted it in hard, they could have got it in hard. They can chop it up and they can just sell that shit elsewhere, wherever they want. They had carte blanche to do whatever they want to do with the 8-ball. Now, if they wanted it in powder, they can bag it up and do the same, move that shit however they want to move it. Or they can just smoke some lace, get on powder. But nevertheless, the mob got an 8-ball every night. And this thing has shit to do with their weekly pay. And around about this time, we definitely had like between 20 to 25 niggas on the line. Real shit. Okay. Now consider all that was on the payroll and all the books. It still was a win-win for me and my dog. Because around about this time, a nigga was getting for like 15, no more than 16 from my auntie, depending on the departure date when it was coming from South America. That's just how she did shit back in the days. But nevertheless, after all the books and all the fucking off a nigga was doing, me and my dog still was walking away with, yeah, we wasn't missing that shit. Okay. Now, we on maybe like a 2.5 year, maybe a 3-year run with this crack shit. Because I stand on this when I say it wasn't no crack in the time when we got there. And I know for a fact I was the first nigga to baptize some work in Rochester, New York. Real shit. So we like on the 3-year run. Everybody that want hard, they got to come through the Miami boys. They got to go through Y, they got to come through Conky, and then they got to go through Dread. Because Dread was doing his thing over there on the east side also. And Dread was loosely down with the mob. But everybody got to come through us. Okay. Now this was shit get fuzzy at. Now, maybe 3 years into us doing our thing, Y got Jefferson and Brown Street on lock. His daily receipts maybe like 10 or 15,000 every day. You know, no more, nothing more, nothing less. Y eating over there. Y'all already know what the numbers Conkies was doing. I talk about that shit all the time. Okay, so maybe like 3 years into it, Y come over to the east side and he holler at us and he tell us that lately, a lot of the locals that be coming to grab, they inquiring about soft again. They want powder, which was kind of strange to us because around about this time, the whole town was maybe like 90% crack, thanks to us. So we wonder, why are the locals asking for powder again? Like, nobody know how to cook work in the town. Everybody got to really come through us if they want the hard, like they've been doing for the last 3 years. So we tell why, man, get to the bottom of that, man. Find out, why everybody want powder again all of a sudden. Okay. Why do just that? Why get at a few locals on the west side? He get in their chest and he asks them, well, all of a sudden, after all these years, y'all want powder again. The locals tell why it's a nigga on the west side that's charging niggas to cook up their work. So now, that's funny because, to our knowledge, nobody know how to cook work on the west side. Why? And all his niggas that was from over town, all the hard they was getting was coming through us. Now, I can honestly say that the majority of the mob, especially the ones who I recruited and brought up, everybody was like chefs in their own right. Because that's just in a Miami nigga to know how to cook work. But the advantage me and my nigga had over the whole mob was that none of the mob would never go home. They would always stay in New York. Me and my nigga, we went home. So the last thing we worried about was anybody in the mob going home, bringing their own work back or bringing niggas up. Them niggas just never went home like that. So me and my dog, that was the least of our worries. So we weren't worried about anybody from over town doing that because they had to go through Y and Y had to go through us. But when Y say it's a local nigga on the west side over there cooking up work for everybody, now we got to find out exactly who this nigga is. Again, why do just that? Why find out one of the hoes my lieutenant was busting? It's her little brother. Now, true enough, a nigga was really running through a lot of bitches in the town. And it's safe to say, all the hoes a nigga was knocking down, they had brothers, they had uncles, sometimes they old boys, or, their mama. It was doing a little hustling. Everybody was like hustling in this town. So, it was safe to say that all the hoes a nigga were busting, they would come in and ask the mob, my daddy doing some, or my little brother doing some, or my uncle them doing some, they want to know, can they get some work? So, that was in a contract. That was a given. But what me and my dog will always tell the mob, whatever y'all doing, whoever y'all blessing, just keep the locals out your game room. In other words, keep them pussy niggas out the kitchen. Just stand on that. The mob go bless everybody go eat. Just keep the locals out the kitchen. Long as the locals ain't knew what the recipe was, whether it was glass drop or whip, me and my dog, we knew we was good. Okay, the nigga that's charging niggas to cook up their work on the west side, his sister was fucking my lieutenant. Okay, so when we find this out, I instantly get at my lieutenant and ask him, what's up? Why buddy over there, he got a whole lot of motion over there. Why, how he know how to cook? Like, the only conclusion me and my dog can come to is you showing niggas how to cook work. So my lieutenant tell me, well, man, Lord, maybe a time or two he was in the kitchen. So me and my dog, we look at each other and we tell him, off rip, a nigga been cooking forever. There's no way, if you're a real chef, there's no way you can learn how to cook in 1 or 2 tries. That shit is like trial and error. You go crack a whole lot of beakers. You go lose a whole lot of grams trying to learn how to cook work. I don't care if you glass drop it. I don't care if you whip it. You can't get that recipe down packed in 1 or 2 tries. So he eventually tell us, yeah, man, I had him in the kitchen with me a whole lot, not thinking he was going to run with the recipe, not thinking he was going to peep game and do his own shit over there. Okay, which is believable. Thanks for the honesty. So what me and my dog, we tell why. For all those niggas that's over there on the west side that's coming to ask for powder, if they not getting a 250 or better, if they not getting a quarter brick or better, they got to get everything in hard. It ain't no more half a bigs, ain't no more big eights. A quarter key or better, you can get it in powder. Anything under that, you got to get it all in hard. So I instantly shut that shit down over there, and everybody had to, double back and get everything in hard now. Why back to making 10 to 15,000 every day? Okay, shit back Costa Rica over there. Now, we can't be mad at the nigga that was cooking up work for everybody, because that's his hustle, that's his lane. He was charging everybody to cook up their work, and he was double and triple charging niggas to show them the recipe. No thanks to my lieutenant. Which eventually led to the mob having to revert and go back to selling all powder, because that nigga on the west side who was cooking up for everybody, he showed 2 niggas, 2 niggas showed 4 niggas, 4 niggas showed 8 niggas, and that shit spread it through the whole west side and leaked over to the east side. Now everybody in Rochester know how to cook work. Me and my dog still had a slight advantage, because I stand on this when I tell y'all it wasn't nothing but garbage throughout all Rochester. So if you wanted that blicker, even in powder, you had to come and get it from us. Because you can grab our shit and still go gram for gram and tap dance on it and do whatever you want to do, and it still gonna be better than what everybody else had in the town. The only downside to that was We went from that 3-year run to making 70-something thousand off every brick to now we just have to thumb it down to making the 30-something thousand off every brick. Because we went from the whipping and just moving straight tighter. But nevertheless, we still was running the numbers up. We still was eating good for the whole 11 years. So when I tell y'all that it was imperative that a nigga follow the blueprint that my OG gave me, which was, quiet money is the best money. Don't get them, out of town niggas nothing to talk about. Don't get them niggas nothing to run with. And, keep niggas, keep the out of town niggas out your game room. It was so important that me and my dog stood on that. But, I get it. Sometimes everybody really don't follow protocol. And sometimes a nigga really think that, they're not being well compensated. Case in point, my lieutenant, he went out, branched out, doing all type of other shit, but he inadvertently gave the recipe away and then kind of like really, gave the game away for free. So I thought I'd just bring y'all this conclusion to the Miami Boys and Flower, man. I hope y'all enjoyed it. Like I say, I appreciate all the comments I be getting. I do reply back to all the comments, man. I really do appreciate y'all. That's the motivation for me to keep bringing y'all this straight blicker. The content will get better and better. I salute everybody that's been rocking with me from day one. I want to say before I end it, rest in peace. Rest in peace to TY. The Mobb. Definitely miss you. I want to say rest in peace to Dread. Who was doing this thing off Hudson Avenue. Heavy Lace Media Group, Second Ave Cap, I'm definitely stamped in these streets. My run solidifies that. Heavy Lace, man, we got the whole thing going.